Okay, imagine this. You get an official heads up, right? A major trading partner suddenly slaps huge tariffs on your country's goods. And at the same time, they're making some pretty serious claims about your internal affairs.
Yeah, not exactly a quiet Tuesday.
Not at all. And that's pretty much the situation Brazil found itself in recently. It led to this, well, really fiery and pretty wide-ranging address from President Lula.
Right.
So today, we're going to dive deep into that speech. We're working from a video called Lula faz pronunciamento oficial à nação sobre taxação de produtos brasileiros, that MP4. And our goal here is really to unpack what President Lula was saying, get a handle on Brazil's perspective on all this, and, see what it tells us about national sovereignty these days. Because the world's so connected, isn't it?
Absolutely. And what's really insightful, I think, is how Brazil seems to be strategically reframing what national defense even means. It's not just tanks and borders anymore.
Right.
They're pulling in economic sovereignty, the independence of their courts, even how digital stuff is governed. It's way broader than just reacting to a tariff. It feels like they're redefining national power for this interconnected age.
Okay, so let's get into it. The speech kicks off with something pretty startling.
Yeah.
A letter from the U.S. president announcing this huge 50% tariff on Brazilian products. And it's coming soon, like August 1st. The way it's presented in the speech, it sounds like a real shock.
Well, and that raises the question, doesn't it? Was this really, truly out of the blue? Because according to the speech, Brazil says they were actively talking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they state they had held more than 10 meetings with the government of the United States. They even apparently sent a negotiation proposal on May 16th. So that suggests they were expecting, more back and forth, not just, bam, tariffs announced.
Right. Not a sudden decree. And then President Lula uses some really strong words to describe the U.S. move. Not just negotiation, but
Unacceptable blackmail.
Yeah.
That's the phrase used.
Wow. And combined with false information about the commerce between Brazil and the United States. So calling out the rationale behind it, too, that's a definite escalation language-wise.
Definitely signals a serious diplomatic fallout.
So given that really direct economic challenge, how does President Lula then connect this to Brazil's own justice system? It seems like a bit of a pivot.
Well, he draws a very direct line. He strongly asserts that any attempt to interfere with Brazil's courts is, quote, an attack on national sovereignty.
Okay.
He really emphasizes the independence of their judiciary. He lists things like respect for due process, presumption of innocence, the adversarial system, where both sides argue their case, and ample defense.
So laying down a marker, basically, saying our legal system is our own business.
Exactly. It's not just pride. It feels like a strategic move, kind of a preemptive defense saying, don't even think about pressuring us here. This is off limits.
And then he connects that idea, that sort of abstract idea of sovereignty, to really concrete things for the average person, right?
Yes, very much so. He says a sovereign nation is capable of generating jobs, combating inequalities, guaranteeing health and education, promoting sustainable development, and basically creating opportunities for people.
So making it tangible. Sovereignty isn't just a political concept. It means better lives.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Linking national autonomy directly to daily well-being. But there's another layer here, too, an internal one.
Oh.
Yeah, the president expresses even greater indignation about alleged support for the U.S. position coming from inside Brazil.
Really?
He calls them some Brazilian politicians, describing them as true traitors of the homeland who bet on the worse the better.
Wow. Traitors of the homeland. That suggests some serious internal political friction happening alongside this external pressure.
So it certainly points to deep divisions, yeah.
So this whole challenge to sovereignty, it's not just playing out in the usual arenas like trade talks or legal chambers. As we continue this deep dive, you'll see President Lula takes this conversation somewhere else entirely. He argues that real national self-determination, true sovereignty, now goes deep into the digital world, specifically targeting foreign tech platforms.
Right. And the message there is, well, pretty blunt. To operate in our country, all national and foreign companies are obliged to comply with the rules.
No exception.
None. He says in Brazil, no one. No one is above the law. Which, raises big questions about how countries can actually assert control in this global digital space where borders are often pretty fuzzy.
And it's not just a vague worry about these platforms. He gets really specific, listing alleged dangers. It's quite a list.
It is. He mentions promoting scams and frauds, committing crimes of racism, encouraging violence against women, even attacking democracy itself.
And it keeps going, fueling hate, violence, and bullying among children and adolescents, sometimes leading to death, he says, and even discrediting vaccines, bringing back diseases we thought were gone.
Yeah, it's a powerful list. And listing them out like that with such specific, serious harms.
What's the significance of doing that, do you think?
Well, it frames the whole digital sovereignty issue, not just as an economic thing, but as a direct threat to, well, public health, social stability, democracy itself.
Right.
By linking these platforms to really tangible harms, he builds a much stronger case for why Brazil needs stricter national oversight. It's presented as being about protecting citizens and core national values, not just, say, protecting local businesses.
So, okay, facing pressure on the trade front, the legal front, the digital front, how does Brazil plan to respond? What's the action plan laid out in the speech?
He talks about a great joint action, getting everyone involved.
Like who?
Industry, commerce, the service sector, the agricultural sector, and the workers. Basically a united front. He stresses they are together in the defense of Brazil.
A kind of national economic mobilization. And what about those U.S. claims about trade, the false information he mentioned?
He directly counters them with data. He cites that the United States has accumulated a robust commercial surplus of $410 billion for over 15 years in its trade with Brazil.
Ah, okay. So using that figure to argue the U.S. claims of unfairness are, quote, false.
Exactly, challenging the very premise of the tariffs using historical trade figures.
And beyond just the trade numbers, the speech also touches on other areas where Brazil sees itself as strong, right? Like the environment.
Yes, absolutely. He claims Brazil is a world reference in environmental defense, highlighting that they've reduced Amazon deforestation by half in 2 years.
And they have that big goal.
Zero deforestation by 2030.
Yeah. So it's positioning Brazil not just as an economic player, but as a responsible global citizen, a leader in sustainability. It broadens the picture of national strength.
And there's that mention of PIX, too. That seemed quite prominent.
Oh, definitely. Brazil's instant payment system is hugely popular there. He calls it a heritage of our people and one of the most advanced payment systems in the world.
And the message was clear.
We will not accept a tax on PIX.
Yeah.
It really shows the strong national pride in their own tech innovation and a firm stance on protecting it from any outside meddling. The speech also kind of looks back a bit, provides some context, mentioning Brazil was isolated from the world when his government took office in 2023.
Right, setting up a narrative of change. And then he claims that since then, in just 2.5 years, we have opened 379 new markets for Brazilian products abroad.
So pushing diversification.
Exactly. Highlighting partnerships with the EU, Asia, Africa, Latin America, the Caribbean. Basically saying we're back on the global stage, building diverse relationships. We're not reliant on just one partner.
Okay, so lots of diplomatic and economic action. But what about legal tools? What does he say Brazil will actually do, legally speaking?
These days, Brazil will use all legal instruments to defend our economy.
Which includes?
He specifically mentions appeals to the World Trade Organization, the WTO, and also using the reciprocity law approved by the National Congress.
Reciprocity law, so potentially hitting back with similar measures.
That seems to be the implication, yes. It indicates they're ready to fight this on multiple fronts, diplomatic, economic, and legal, using both international bodies and domestic law.
So, wrapping it all up, what's the sort of final message about Brazil's place in the world that President Lula wants to leave people with?
Well, it's kind of twofold. On one hand, a message of peace and cooperation. He says, there are no winners in tariff wars. We are a country of peace without enemies. We believe in multilateralism and cooperation among nations.
Okay, the cooperative side.
But right alongside that, there's a very firm assertion of sovereignty. He concludes with, Brazil has a single owner, the Brazilian people.
Ah, drawing a very clear line.
Exactly. Even while advocating for peace and cooperation, it's an unambiguous statement about ultimate authority and national self-determination.
So we've covered a lot there, a really complex and, frankly, quite assertive address from President Lula. We went from these sudden trade disputes, concerns about judicial interference, all the way to expanding the whole idea of sovereignty into the digital world. The core message seems crystal clear. Brazil is digging in. They intend to defend their interests, their principles across all these different areas, really asserting their right to, well, run their own show in this messy, interconnected world.
And what really strikes me is just the breadth of it all. You know, how this one speech connects global economics, national laws, digital rules, all tied together under this big banner of national sovereignty. It really shows you how tangled up everything has become.
Yeah, definitely. And remember that line from the president: the first victim of a world without rules is the truth.
That's a powerful line. And it leaves you thinking, doesn't it?
It
It
does.
raises a really important question, maybe for you listening.
Yeah.
In a world like this, where claims and counterclaims are flying around constantly and digital spaces kind of blur all the lines,
Mhm.
how do societies effectively protect what they see as their truths and their sovereignty, both economic and cultural, without just, pulling up the drawbridge and isolating themselves?
That's a tough balance to strike, something definitely worth mulling over.